welcome to another episode of From Breakup to Badass. I am Yanira, speaker, wellness coach, and your guide through the messy, beautiful journey of rebuilding your life after heartbreak. And if you have not yet done so, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode of the podcast. And if you love this podcast, leave a review because I would love to hear from you. Now, today we are talking about something that every single one of us has felt: rejection. That gut punch of being told no, or being left, or being replaced, or feeling like you weren't enough. But what if rejection wasn't punishment? What if rejection was protection? Or even better, redirection. And I love that because sometimes the door that slams shut isn't blocking your path, it's guiding actually you to the one that actually yours. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology of rejection. And this is a point that we have talked, or I have talked about before in the podcast. Rejection, just like other things that happen to us, activates the same pain centers in the brain as physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex. And that's why it hurts so deeply, because your brain literally treats rejection like an injury. There is a study from the University of Michigan done in 2003 that showed that social rejection lights up the exact same brain regions as physical pain, confirming that emotional rejection isn't just in your head. It's in your biology. So you're not crazy. I have to tell you that. You're not crazy. Whatever you're feeling right now because of rejection, it's normal that you're feeling that. So when you're rejected by a partner, by a job, or even a friend, it doesn't matter. Your body releases cortisol and adrenaline, triggering the fight or flight or freeze response, right? We have talked about this before. You know, this is the way that your brain is protecting you from danger. So that's why it turns on the survival mechanism, which is the fight or flight or freeze response. So that's why sometimes when you're rejected, and again, it could be a person, it could be a job, or whatever it is. That's why sometimes your chest tightens, or your stomach drops, or you can't think straight because your nervous system believes you are in danger. So maybe we're obsessing about what went wrong, maybe we're questioning our worth, and it feels all these symptoms are happening after the rejection. So here's what also science tells us. So at the beginning, I said science, according to a research study, rejection feels like physical pain. But here's what science also tells us, and is that your brain is plastic. And I'm not sure if you have ever heard of the concept of neuroplasticity, but your brain can change all the time. So that means it can rewire, it can learn a new meaning. So when you reframe rejection as redirection, your body literally begins to calm, to shift from survival mode to growth mode. And there is a phrase that I always mention, and I always tell my coaching clients, but if you focus on the pain, you're going to keep suffering. But if you focus on the lesson, you're going to keep growing. And this is the important part. And reframing is a technique that you can learn. There is an exercise that I love. It's called the truth check. So in your journal, if you have a journal, or if you can write it in the computer, just start asking yourself questions like, what story did I start telling myself after the rejection? Is it true, or is it just a speaking, or is it really direction, or it's redirection? Is it rejection or redirection? Where might it be pointing me? So, something that you can do is just write freely for 5 minutes. Do not censor yourself. You'll be surprised how fast your body softens once your mind starts shifting. And I remember in my last divorce, at some point I felt, this is what I felt like, my ex-husband took me, outside our relationship and brought somebody else inside. So I felt replaced. That's what I felt in that moment. And after months and months talking to my therapist, he said something that stuck with me, and that helped me change. And that helped me reframe, because I thought he replaced me with another woman. But the truth is that he said something like, well, you're not a coffee machine that, he can just buy a new one. And it's true, because, that's not what happened. So when you ask yourself questions, you can actually start the healing process, because you start seeing what you have been saying to yourself over and over. So reframing is actually something to go. Let's talk about the spiritual reframe, rejection as redirection. So spiritually, rejection is often protection. You're being moved out of alignment with something that no longer fits the person that you're becoming or your life or anything. I love Gabby Bernstein. She's a speaker, she's an author. She has written like 12 books, and I don't know, I think I've listened to maybe 2 or 3 of her books, like The Universe Has Your Back or Self-Help. I don't know which one I have read, but many of those. But she says that the universe is always working for you, not against you. And one of the name of her books is The Universe Has Your Back. And every closed door, every unanswered text, every detour, it's divine guidance. And I remember, I think it was last year, my conference that I did for the National Speakers Association of Georgia. The name was The Detour, Following the Path You Have Always Dreamed of. And I talked about my mom and how I wanted to be a dancer or a singer or an actress. My mom said no. But then I ended up on stage talking to people, which is great. And being here in a podcast, not only in English, but I also have one in Spanish. But anyway, so Gabby calls this the divine assignment, that even the painful moments are teachers preparing you for the next level of purpose. And I really love that. And I am also listening to David Ghiyam. He has been teaching Kabbalah for 25 years, and he explains this in a different way, but he says like rejection is not punishment, it's soul correction. So in Kabbalah, we have the tikkun, and that's our soul correction. And it's the light removing, the rejection is the light removing what's not aligned with your spiritual growth, so you can fulfill your true potential. So you didn't lose love. You were redirected to become the person capable of the love that's truly yours. So when someone exits your life, just don't ask, or I invite you not to ask, why did this happen to me? Instead, ask, what do I have to learn from it? What this situation is showing me? And when I got divorced, I remember, of course, I knew, because of all the work that I have done for myself or with myself, I'm not sure how to say that, but I knew that this was going to be the best thing that happened to me. And of course it was. However, I felt lost. I felt sad. All the feelings were there, definitely. But there was a moment where I was here at home and I was teaching a workshop for the women in the Winnet jail, so a prison. And I did such an amazing job. I built this presentation for tools that you can use inside the prison and outside because they were part of the re-entry program. And it was in Spanish and in English. I don't know how I did it, but I thank God, the universe, the creator, whatever it is, he was there or she was there with me, helping me to give hope to these women. And when I finished my workshop, which was beautiful, for 2 hours I spoke and they were very engaged, I started crying and I was very emotional. And I said to myself, this is the reason why I'm here, why I got divorced. Because yes, I got divorced, but I found my purpose. And if that is not beautiful, I don't know what it is. So I was very happy of that aha moment, right? And there is a study, a 2020 study from Frontiers in Psychology, that found that people who reframe rejection as opportunity show higher levels of resilience, faster emotional recovery, and lower long-term anxiety. Remember that the idea of everything that I'm saying, the idea, if you're listening, if you're watching me right now, is that our healing is faster. We don't need to be here for 10 years. Every person is different, and that's okay. But don't you want to do it faster? Don't you want to feel good with yourself faster? So this is why I do this every single day. So reframing literally rewires the brain stress response. And this is what neuroplasticity looks like in real life. So you start building new connections in your brain, you stop reliving the old pattern, and you regain emotional flexibility. This is so important. And there is an exercise that you can do, the redirection map. So one of the things that you can do, you can take a piece of paper, you can draw a line in the middle, and you have in your left column, you can say what I lost. And in the right column, you can say what it made possible. This is what it looks like. For example, in one column, you have, I lost my partner, I lost the love of my life, my husband, whatever. But in the other one, in my case, I found my purpose. Or it could be, I lost my job and then I started my new business. Or it could be, I lost their love, but in the other column, it could be, I learned to love myself. So you'll start to see that life didn't take from you. It actually transform you. And I think this is beautiful. So how do we build trust when you can't see the next step? And I know this is hard. Sometimes it could be pretty hard, because when we're in pain, I know we want answers. Like, when is it going to be over? And we want to know why something ended. We want answers to everything. But healing requires something even braver, and it's trust. And I talked to you about Gabby and about David. So Gabby called it trust. David Ghiyam called it certainty. Catholics could call it faith. So for everybody is different, but if you trust that the universe, God, the creator, or whatever you believe in isn't taking things away to punish you, but to prepare you for something better. Obstacles are detours in the right direction. So when you're rejected, life isn't saying no. It's actually saying not this way. It's rerouting you toward a higher alignment. According to Dr. Christine Neff from the University of Texas, self-compassion, everything that I'm talking about, and trust in uncertainty are the top predictors of resilience after an emotional trauma. And people who practice self-kindness and acceptance during this time of uncertainty show 40% faster emotional recovery compared to those who resisted. So yes, one of the things that we have to do is accept what is going on with us. I know sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we feel like, we cannot get past this fast enough, but it's part of it. It's okay if after the breakup you feel that there are days that you're angry, that you're impatient, that you're scared, but just realize that the space that left empty is actually sacred. It was a space for something new to grow. And I think that's the reframing that we should do. Another exercise that you could do is the surrender statement. Write this affirmation, and it could be something like this. It doesn't need to be this one specifically, but you can say, I release the need to know. I trust that this ending is guiding me toward something aligned, something true, something meant for me. And you can put it in your mirror, put it in your phone, or whisper it before bed, because you're rewiring your subconscious from fear to faith, from fear to certainty, from fear to trust. And part of what we have to do is, yes, we want this, but just let it go. Just release the way on how that's going to happen to you. And I have so many things. On my phone, like affirmations. And I actually have one in the mirror of my bedroom. And it's a beautiful statement, like I'm a creator of miracles, and it's gorgeous. And I read it every single day that I go and see myself in the mirror, and that works. Affirmations, they do work. So how do we turn rejection into power, into the badass that you are? When you realize that rejection is redirection, you stop chasing validation and start following vibration. And this is something important. Rejection becomes feedback. It's not failure. It comes feedback for what you're yet to become. Yes, that's what it is. And remember, the universe didn't close a door to punish you. It closed it to protect your peace and guide you home to yourself. So every no is creating a space for the yes that is meant for you. Every person who walked away is making room for the one who's ready, for the woman that you are becoming. Every time you bounce back, you're proving your nervous system. And this is so important. You're proving your nervous system that you're safe, that you can handle change. And this is what resilience is. It's every time you bounce back from a different situation, you are stronger, you are better, and you can handle with things better. And I remember after I recovered from my divorce, I said, yes, I cannot wait for the other adversity that is coming into my life, because I have all the tools. And yes, I don't want more adversity. I know they're going to happen to me, and I know I have the tools, but that's the beauty of it when you reframe it. There is a Harvard Business Review study done in 2021 that showed that professionals who reframe career rejection, like when they say no to you for a job, when they reframe career rejection as growth, they were 3 times more likely to achieve new goals within 6 months. This is amazing. So the same applies emotionally, right? Your mindset after a rejection predicts your next chapter. Instead of asking why me, ask what for. And trust the detour. You're being redirected to your destiny. So let's think about the things that we have learned today. We have learned that, yes, we can reframe rejection, that rejection is a form of protection and redirection to a better future. And I'm going to leave you with maybe several questions that you can ask yourself. You can pause, you can journal about it, you can write about it. But one of the questions, where have you been interpreting rejection as a failure instead of guidance? Because again, we're sometimes we love to victimize ourselves, and yes, they rejected me, but maybe that happens for a reason. That happens to give you guidance so you can learn something, so you can be the best version of yourself. Or what if this breakup or this heartbreak was actually a setup for your breakthrough, which was in my case, because now I'm doing something that I'm passionate about and I'm helping people around the world. And I'm sure I wouldn't have done it if I was with him, because I would have been in my comfort zone. And then you can ask yourself, what could happen if I stop fighting what's leaving and started trusting what's coming? Even though you don't know. Okay. Wow. This was a very powerful episode and with lots of exercises. Remember that in the episode description, I have a guide for you. It's called From Breakup to Badass Cheat Sheet for exercises like this, like the one that the several that we did today, like it's your roadmap to rebuilding your purpose, not repain. And if this episode remind you that endings can actually become beginnings, share with someone that really needs that reminder as well. And tag me in your Instagram stories at Janita Poo Wellness. And if you want to learn how to coach with me outside of this podcast, send me an email. I would love to hear from you. And that's what I have for you today. This episode was really good, and it was really good for me. And I'm going to leave you with the same thing I leave you every single week. Remember, you've got this. Now go live like the badass that you are.